Nobody in the truck. Looks like it had road trouble, and that's why I have the landing strip there. And I keep it mowed so people, oh no, there they are, over there. Hello folks, this is Steve AB4L. I'm down at my corner. I'm intentionally including this in the view. See the one over there? Now, as you saw in the introductory cut, I was leaving and there was a vehicle parked there, and then I noticed there were two guys over there, and I had it in my head that they were somehow related to that survey mark, the yellow arrow, and to this that was done a couple of weeks ago, and I was correct. They're up from Aberdeen, and apparently part of their responsibility will be figuring out how to lay the water main. Now, the water main that will come from Randleman Lake, I think I got the direction right, up that way. I know where it's going to be tapped into and come down 311, North Carolina 311, which merges with 7374, and it will come down and turn left at Presnell Road and come all the way across the interstate. And Presnell Road is down there just past the other side of the bypass entrance, and then it's going to, the line is going to go down 64 all the way to just over the county line to the Wolfspeed construction site, which presumably will be a working plant by then. So what were they out here looking at? Well, they have to figure out, see, the water line's not going to be under the road. The water line's going to come. Now, watch what I did. Let's assume the water line is going to be right here in the middle of what we can see right there, okay? And I'm going to turn exactly 180 degrees. And see, that's over there. But I'm looking straight at that pole. And they told me they have a restriction by the North Carolina Department of Transportation that they can't cut the road surface. So what does that mean? That means they have to tunnel under it. They told me that the diameter of the pipe would be in, I'm recalling, they told me the exact number. I'm simply going to say the diameter of the pipe that will be buried is in the vicinity of 2 feet, in the vicinity of somewhere up to 24 inches, that neighborhood. Now, if they want to put it in the ground here, keeping in mind that there's stuff like this here, clearly what they're going to do is be digging a trench, however deep, they didn't tell me, and that's what they would lay the line in and presumably weld the ends together or bolt them or whatever it is. I don't know. We weren't talking about that. So you can imagine that there's a digger that can make the trench. And the width of that trench is going to be at least 2 feet wide. So how are you going to get to the other side of the intersection if you can't tear up the road? You have to tunnel some way. Oh, isn't that reminiscent of what they did to get the fiber conduit to here? And you see this here, I made the video about the guy that came. Yeah, it crossed the property, but the thing is only like this diameter. And we saw the boring machines that do that. What's a boring machine going to look like? And how do you fit it into to bore under the road? At least a 2-foot diameter. You see why they're out here? And what's under here? I want to get out of the sun. What's under here? Now, I told them one way they can see some of the potential problems that they'll have to deal with down that way where the bypass was built is by looking at Tom Allen's drone series. It's 3 years of videos, a little over 300 videos of the full construction of the bypass, including some places down there where they had to blast just to get below the surface. Now they said that the line work wouldn't be, the pipe work wouldn't be done for another year. And you know, after talking to them, I realized how much planning they're going to have to do. And maybe a bigger part of the planning is going to be intersections like this. That making a run here is nowhere near full of unknowns and difficulties as just trying to get across this intersection. I'm glad I stopped and talked with them. They're both great guys to talk to. As I said, I suggested to them they might look at the Tom Allen series. It might give them some hints, and maybe they'd like to have a drone watching them too, because then it lets everybody know what's actually going on. And as I said, it even gave the DOT people sitting in Raleigh some idea of what they actually might want to come out and inspect when they would come from Raleigh out to here to see the work on the bypass. I don't know how often they would come out, every week, every month, whatever. And there was a lot of goodwill publicity because everybody understood the progress, and people could look at the videos near where they lived and see what was actually going on. I didn't tell them they had to do that. I'm just saying it ended up being it worked out for a lot of people. That video series really worked out well. And I said, well, I told him I spoke to the guy that was doing this like 2 weeks ago. And I said, well, I wondered why he was painting. And then I asked them, was that instrument that he was using that was spray painting this, was it also a GPS that was actually recording where all these are, and then you'll be able to create a map of where everything is a year from now when you're going to do your work? And he said yes. So then I realized the reason why they were painting is so the guy would know where he had actually surveyed and where he hadn't but needed to. So that's the purpose of the spray paint here. That's the purpose of the spray paint here. But the real purpose of it, the guy was down from, I think, Wadesboro, he told me, but he worked for a company in Cary. The real purpose is to map all these things so that when they actually do the construction, they have a map right there of everything they got to look out for. Wouldn't you like to be the engineer that has to figure this all out with all this crap in the ground? There's a line that goes out there. Okay? Excuse me for running my mouth. I think it's interesting. And I think it's fun. And it will, and really, they were just shaking their heads at where that pole is. I think they're saying that they'd like to be as far from the edge of the road as possible. Here, it's the embankment that limits them. This is all right of way. Okay? So I made a decision when I first saw the vehicle with the flashing light. I thought it was disabled, but then I saw them there and I decided to just talk with them for a few minutes, and it was great. Steve, AB4L, I need to start a series about that water line, don't I? Saying see you in 73.